Okay, so let's start with hard matching or hard merging, and which is by stamping object GUID with immutable, also object by stamping immutable ID with the object GUID that we have converted to base64 using converting tool. So I am in this server now. In this server, I have already installed MS Online module, which you can install by install module MS Online, right? This is for Office 365, or you can even install the newer one, Azure AD. Commands are a little bit different, but once you install this, you should be able to use it. Don't forget, depends on the OS, you may need to install some other components as well. Like I have Windows Server 2012, so I have to install Microsoft Sign-in Assistance and some other component. Just search on the Google what you need to connect to Office 365 and PowerShell, and you should be able to get that. Anyway, you may already have a system because nowadays, PowerShell, if you work with Office 365, PowerShell modules are inevitable, right? You have to have it. So let's connect to my Office 365 environment. So what I will do, I will say connect MSOL service, and it should give me this box. So I will log in as my global admin account. All right, password, and skip for now. Okay, just to confirm I'm at the right place, I can say get MSOL domain, and yes, it's mine. I can see my domain itsense.net. It's verified and managed, as well as the default domain. So what I need to do now, I need to do this hard matching. So I have copied this stuff here and set MSOL user, which is Microsoft Online user, then slash user principal name, then the user principal name, which is user01 at itsense.net, hyphen, space hyphen, immutable ID, and the value that we have converted, remember, using this tool and recorded over here, in, right? So once it's there, let's see what happens. Boom, accepted, right? Let's do this for user 2 as well. You may not have to do it in your environment. In case, suppose you have a third-party authentication solution like Okta or something like that. In this case, this may have already been done because one of the requirement from Okta is that if you want to use Okta for your Office 365 authentication, right? You will use Okta as a federated, right? It won't be managed. Your domain will be federated. And another thing that uh, in order to match to those use Office 365 identities with on-prem users, Okta also requires you to set immutable IDs like this, you know, get the user object GUID, convert to base64, and stamp it to immutable ID. Okay, I have done this. Oh, I think I have done the wrong one. Sorry. Say, always have a problem. It means I have to repeat this. So if you're copying and pasting and trying to do, make sure you edit it properly, right? Otherwise, good, I spotted that. So just to confirm, user one, yeah, different value. User two, I made a mistake here, then I recorrected, and the user three. Okay, done. Perfect. So that's it. What we did right now is we did hard matching slash merging by stamping object GUID to immutable ID. And now we will install and configure Azure AD Connect. Okay, so I think Azure AD Connect is somewhere down here on this box. Yep. Just to tell you that, as I said, we will do the test account first. So I will sync this test OU initially, which is empty. There is nothing, no one there, right? And then we will just move a user account, one of the user account, and see if match happens or not. Right? Always safe. Always play safe. All right. So agree. I'm gonna go for the customized setup. And I don't want any of this thing at the moment anyway. So no custom, no existing service account, no nothing. Install. Always get the latest Azure AD Connect version. Installing a local SQL database, right? And the synchronization service. As you can see while it's happening, just let me just go back to Office 365. I don't have any sync identities yet, right? All of my identities are cloud-based identities, right? As you can see, sync status is in cloud, in cloud, in cloud. They're not on-prem synced. All right. So just keep in mind here at the moment, it's all cloud-based. Okay, so while it is installing, I think it may be a good idea. I'll pause the video and come back when it's done. So let me just pause the video a little bit and I'll be back. The time I paused, immediately it moved to another screen, which is okay with me. So we will go for password hash sync. Okay. I don't have no federated or anything, so I don't want to use pass-through. I don't want to use ADFS in this scenario, so I'm going for a password hash sync. I'm not too much concerned about single sign-on at the moment, right? If you choose don't configure and you go next, that means it's called that there, right? So, okay, next username. Here I need to specify global admin credentials. So, I think I have one user account that I can use, one additional user account. Yeah, AD admin at idsense.net, correct. So AD admin at itsense.net. It's gonna verify that. Okay. It's saying into the directory, so I'll add it, and here it's asking to provide an admin, enterprise admin account. So in my case is ITs and slash. Okay, all good. It's trying to retrieve my local domain schema. Yeah, it's not added. This one is verified. I will go with the default with the user principal name matching. So like the on-prem attributes that will be used as AD, Azure AD username. So by default, it's set to user principal name. So by default, it will use user principal name as Azure AD username when it will be syncing your objects, which is fine with me. So because I have this local domain, which is not added and it's non-routable, I can say, yeah, continue without matching all UPN suffix. Next, I don't want to sync everything, as I said. I'm just gonna select test OU for the time being. Default, my user are represented only once across directories. Next, see all user and devices. I am fine with it. Password, and I don't want to choose anything. I don't have Exchange Hybrid or anything like that. I don't want password right back or anything. Next, and finally configuring. So it starts configuring it. And then once it says it starts the synchronization process, stop. So while it's performing synchronization and all, I will pause the video and I will be back when it's done. All right, configuration has completed. As you can say, configuration complete. You can log into portal and just telling me that recycle bin is not enabled. It's better to do it, right? And this, MSDS consistency grid as a source anchor, which is ultimately at the end by default is all matched up to object GUID. And all right, so exit. So if I double click again, just to mention one point, because currently, oh, synchronization is currently in progress. Okay, we'll give it some time. So just understand, as I explained in my lab scenario, I want seamless, integration. Just one account that works on-prem as well as in Office 365. And the current status of my domain, Office 365 domain, is managed, right? It's not federated. I'm not using ADFS. I'm not using any third-party solution like Okta or anything. So that's why I select password hash sync because I want my password hash to be synced and I want Azure AD to authenticate my users against Office 365. Okay. If I have a federated solution, then as you know, the status of my domain will here be federated, and it means uh, whatever that solution is, either ADFS or a third-party solution like Okta, that will be the one who will be providing authentication, and that will be reading or getting that information from my on-prem AD. So if this is the case, you have, let's say, a third-party solution in place, not ADFS, because ADFS is Microsoft solution. If you have any other third-party federated solution in place, let's say Okta again as an example, then under synchronization under options where you have a password hash sync and whatever is that, mm, uh, pass through, you will choose do not configure. Let me just show you real quick here. Remember this window? And I choose password hash sync because my domain is managed. But if you are using some third-party solution and your domain is federated, you will choose do not configure. All right. This is the one that you need to choose. Do not configure. So keep this in mind that, that it's important to know. Okay. So let's go back to our lab and see what's the status. So if I open it, and the reason for opening this is to show you the summary, the options that we have selected. And once you open it, remember the synchronization gets suspended until you close this wizard, okay? So go configure and you can say view or export current configuration. And here I can see what I have selected. See, it has created some accounts for synchronization to happen. This is the source anchor. User principal name, as it says, this will be the default, will be the object, will be the attribute that will be used to provision login name for Azure AD accounts. Sync criteria is always provision, and password hash sync in my case is enabled. Okay, so if you want to check what has been done or what are the existing configuration of Azure AD Connect, you can always come over here and see, right? So exit. Okay, now let's go to domain controller and test OU, which is empty. Let's go here. User 4 is a unique user. It won't hurt. So let's move user 4. I don't have user 04 at itsense.net, right? So it shouldn't be a problem. And for testing as a lab rat, let's say we choose user 1 first. Okay, move. And we have two options now. By default, sync happens every 30 minutes. So either we wait or we go to PowerShell and start AD. Oh, sorry. Start AD sync cycle. Policy type Delta. And this is to manually initiate the synchronization, delta synchronization, the differences. So if we do that, you will notice that there will be some activity in Azure AD Connect synchronization services right over here. Azure AD Connect I have already explained in some of my previous videos, so that's not the main point here, but just it's good to know, or I say good to mention as revision. So as you can see, when I execute Delta, it's doing all this export, Delta import, Delta sync, and all that. So once it's done, we will check our cloud and see how is it, how did it go? So the expected output is we should see user 4 as a sync object, and also which we should see user 1 as a sync object because user 1 had a cloud identity, or user 1 has a cloud identity, and we have done everything to do soft matching and hard matching, or soft merging and hard merging. So now this identity should get merged and should have one user 1, not two different accounts. User 4, we have no conflict at all because there were no cloud accounts for user 4. So user 4 should appear. And you can see here, add and update. So when I say add, it showed me this. So if I see the properties, it showed user 4, you see. And for update, it's user 1. So something has happened, right? Let's see what's that. So it looks like it's done. Sometimes it takes a little while, but let's just test and see. And as you can see, once again, it's all cloud-based. So let me refresh. You see the sync account appear, right? The one that's created by Azure AD Connect. Okay, now very funny. User 4 is showing as in cloud, right? And user 1 in cloud. And we might be thinking, what happened? How come user 4 became in cloud, right? Well, sometimes it is a glitch in this, I would say, uh, interface. To get the actual results, to ensure that, to confirm that, is it really a glitch or it's an error or some issue? Let's go to Azure AD Connect. I think you might not be able to see this. What here? Oh, sorry. Mm, mm, yeah. Let's go to Azure AD Connect. Oh, sorry, Azure Active Directory. And here, if I see users, you see, now it's the directory synced. Yes. Directory synced. Yes. So one more time. Directory synced. Yes. And yes. So here the information get refreshed, right? It's syncing with directory. User 4 syncing with directory, right? But unfortunately, that interface had some, what should I say? Little bit of delay sometimes, I'd say. We have these few other things in case if it makes sense to you, but directory sync. You can, so if I click user for, right, it is synced from Windows Server AD. You see the source here? Source is Windows Server AD. So if I go back, look, let me select user 2. We haven't synced user 2 yet, right? So if I click user 2, you see the source is Azure Active Directory because we haven't synced this. We synced only user 4 and user 1. So user 1 was the one which has the conflict, right? And we want to merge those identities. So if we click user 1, source now is Windows Server AD. All right, righto. Perfect result we got. And this is what expected, and this is what we get, right? So, good stuff. So, bottom line, don't get panicked with this interface. Sometimes it just takes time for things to show up here. You can always go to Azure AD or Azure Active Directory option and look out for details. One more thing that this interface lack is if I delete a cloud identity, right? It goes to deleted users. I can although recover it, but I cannot permanently delete it. But in Azure AD, from here, you can even permanently delete it. You can just go to deleted user, select, and say delete permanently. So Azure Active Directory, aka Azure AD users option is much more versatile and give you quick results. Once again, bottom line, don't panic, don't panic. If you see something like this, which is unexpected, right? Just double check with Azure AD option or Azure AD or Azure Active Directory console, Azure Active Directory Admin Center to be precise. Okay, you will see this right down there. Maybe I'm explaining too much, but it is right over here, this one. And if you click, it will take you over here. All right, right. So we get our results. So we can do the same thing for user one and sorry, user two and user three as well. We can safely sync. We can change the scope of our sync as well. And let's do this now in after a short break.